I saw the messages she texted to the other man. Here's my story. Married for 1.5 years. My W is a passive, aggressive. She started an emotional affair for all the textbook reasons, like I ignored her. She was depressed, other man was her support, etc. It's been back and forth for the last 4 months over this. Each time I found out more about what she was feeling, she convinced me he was just a friend, and she would stop talking to him and start working with me to fix our marriage. The problem is each time I caught her, I reacted too fast and never got enough evidence of the content of their chats. And each time she promised to stop, she made me think she had by finding an even more elaborate way to disguise it. We have been back and forth the last 2 weeks, sharing feelings, communicating, appearing to make progress. Little did I know, she was pretending that I understood her feelings, but then letting herself believe divorce was inevitable. And at the same time, talking to other man. I was convinced she was trying, but we were still clashing because I needed her to be transparent and she felt I was just looking for something to divorce her over. A few days after, she asked me if she could go to Vegas in October with a friend. I was just overwhelmed she would actually think that was a good idea while we were supposed to be working on our marriage, and I finally decided to calmly suggest that maybe divorce was the only way for both of us to improve ourselves. She agreed, and we decided we would still live together for the time being. This was 4 days ago. Yesterday, I couldn't resist opening up her computer after she left for a little and discovered she was still talking to other man while we were supposed to be working on the marriage, and for the first time, I got a glimpse of their current status. I read a chat log from 6 days ago and found out she was actually planning to meet up with him in Vegas, and there were some subtle hints at their plans but nothing too graphic. Then I read a chat log from yesterday, 2 days after we decided to divorce, and I saw some more graphic stuff and I just broke down in front of her, told her I couldn't take living with her. I asked her to go stay with her parents and she left, crying, appearing to be shook up, realizing her lie was finally exposed, and realizing that I wasn't the person she had invented in order to justify her alternate reality. Last night, she ended up asking if it was okay to come back because our dog, which she brought with her to her parents, was not getting along with the other dog. I told her it was okay. I had forwarded the 2 chat logs to my phone for evidence and was rereading them in another room than she was in, and once I got to the graphic talks, I just broke down. She came in the room and appeared upset over the guilt her lie was causing and admitted to me I was a good person. I recited some specific lines from the chat logs and asked her why she never believed I wanted to save the marriage, and if she was really this person in the chat logs, or was it all based on her convincing herself the marriage was over. She admitted it was all based on her convincing herself the marriage was over. Early this morning, after talking some more, she mentioned that she didn't know how to trust that I wanted to work it out and had been reacting to her own negative feelings all along. I told her that she needed to snap out of her fog and tried to convince her that giving into the negative assumptions and her belief that she needs this other person for support isn't reality. I told her that I really didn't want to divorce her, and I made the decision based on trusting that she really tried. I told her that I wouldn't have said it or done a lot of other things if I had known she was making herself believe it was over. I asked her if everything could work out how she wanted, what would she ultimately want, and she said she would want to be married to me, but that she didn't see how that's possible cause her emotional affair caused her to think the things she has in common with other men are real, and that she doesn't have those things in common with me. I tried telling her she invented those things about herself in order to make it feel right. All through this she keeps telling me how horrible and guilty she feels, and she would rather I just let her go cause she's a lost cause and I don't deserve to waste time trying with someone that got sucked into an emotional affair and so easily lost control of reality. So that's where I'm at. I left it with telling her I wanted to try to start fresh with her and put the miscommunications, hurt feelings, feeling-based reactions, and distrust behind us. I told her that I could only do so if she could cut off contact with other man for good with ANC letter, cancel the Vegas trip, and other things. Am I crazy for thinking she can do this? She said can't stand to see me hurt now and would rather I walk away instead of us trying to work it out and becoming hurt more. I want to believe that she cares, but part of me says she is saying that because she doesn't want her new reality to be disrupted. She has her next therapist appointment this Wednesday and asks that I wait till then to talk more. In the meantime, I feel exposed and that if I give her space till then, she'll just get depressed about the whole thing well before Wednesday and talk to the OM instead of me. The only thing holding me on now is that she finally started showing remorse over how far it had gone. Also, the last chat log I read between W and OM, which contained some flirting that I had never really heard her say to me, is etched in my brain and I cannot stop letting it get to me. We had never stopped sleeping together during this whole time, and she told me it's a big source of her feeling love from me. I had told her when we were in communication mode that her being the aggressor and or texting me something graphic every once in a while is something I would like, but I never got it and just thought she was uncomfortable being that way. Is this really who she is, or is this just part of the person she's pretending to be? Comments. The feelings in an emotional affair are strong and irrational. You can't talk her out of or nice her out of the affair. Right now, it sounds like she is staying out of guilt, which is a bad thing. Once the affair gets started, it takes a life of its own, and nothing you can do or say will stop it until she wants so to end it. That's the thing, she has to want to end it on her own for it to end for good. Not just to pacify you. What typically happens in your situation is that short term she will humor you, but the will still continue, and, in some cases, she will up and leave to pursue the whether it makes logical sense or not. Affairs screw with your head and will make you do stupid, irrational stuff. You can't talk someone out of an A. You need to stop crying in front of her and start getting angry. Start focusing on yourself and make plans on how you will live your life without her. Start researching divorce laws and work on detaching emotionally from her. This should cause her to panic and start to deal with the reality of you leaving her for good. Nothing wakes up a WS like a petition for a divorce. The stronger you become and the more you want to get away from her, the more she will change her mind and want you back. The person that cares the least about the relationship controls it. I've played the beta, wuss, doormat role, and it does not work. Today, if I'm in a relationship with someone and they disrespected me by having an EAP or simply said it's not working and wanted out, I'd say, there's the door. Good luck. Trying to fight for a relationship when the other person is straying or wants out always ends in frustration. If it was meant to be, they will come crawling back on their own, not with you begging for them to return. OP responds. The day after we agreed to perusing a divorce, Friday, I went out to a bar with some friends without her. Something I haven't done in a while. On set I was just sitting around the house watching some games, and late in the afternoon I just had the urge to go walk around the mall. I didn't storm out or give her any rational reason to believe I was upset. After I got to the mall, I got this text from her. I'm prob just over-analyzing crap, but I feel the need to tell you again that if there's anything bothering you, you can tell me. That's all I'm going to say. You don't even have to respond. I responded with you are over-analyzing. Give your mind a break. Trust me when I say nothing I've been doing the last 2 days is a reaction to any feelings I have had. Then she replied, okay, that makes me feel better, thank you. She talked to other man about this incident, only she told him I stormed off like a baby and made it seem like I was taking divorce hard. I'm curious to know what she even told me for, and if she wouldn't made up in her mind that I was being a baby regardless of my response. Or no response at all. After a couple days, I contacted a lawyer just to start that ball rolling. I also told her last night to forget what I said Sunday night about a fresh start and that I want a divorce. Now, in her head, she thinks we're getting a divorce because we just don't get along and are incompatible, which also makes her think making the IA become a PA is justified. What I'm going to do today is tell her that, make no mistake, we are getting a divorce because you started a relationship with another man while we were still married. He's not your friend, he's not your therapist, he is 100% your replacement of me. Then I'm going to add that I want her to leave the house because I'm not going to continue to support a lie. And I'm not going to continue to be disrespected in my own house. I tried to pretend that I could just let her stay until the divorce is final, and then she'd be out of my life for good. With the support from this forum, I realized I can't live with myself if I don't stand up and tell her I've had enough. OM is not married and I do not know him, neither did my W previously. He lives on the West Coast, we are on the East Coast. That's why she's using a trip to Vegas for one of her girlfriend's birthday as an excuse to meet up with him. I forgot to mention my W's sister sent me a text yesterday because her mom had told her about me kicking my W out Sunday. Her sister told me right off the bat that she had heard my W was planning on going to Vegas and had a bad feeling about why she was going. I confirmed to her that her bad feeling was correct and that she did indeed intend to make the emotional affair appear in Vegas. Just goes to show what kind of person my W has become when her own blood sibling comes to me for the truth. We have separate bank accounts and she doesn't have a credit card with my name on it. I'm still waiting for a call back from the attorney, but the trip wasn't planned for another 3 weeks, so that should be enough time for me to clear up any loose ends if there are. A day or two later, interesting turn of events, I'll start off with exactly what I sent her. And I'll follow up with her replies and other stuff. First, what I sent her. In your head, you think we're getting a divorce because we just don't get along and are incompatible. That idea became your reality because, up until Sunday when I finally found the facts, I have been looking for to figure out what is going on in your head. My words and actions were based on your lies and deception. Because this lie has become the truth in your mind, you feel that it's justified in the future to go to Las Vegas and turn your emotional affair into a physical one. Make no mistake, we are getting a divorce because you started a relationship with another man while we were still married. He's not your friend, he's not your therapist, he's not your support, he is 100% your replacement of me, your husband. You let this happen by allowing yourself to think I couldn't fulfill the duties of a husband, and instead just left me with the label of husband and all the problems that come with a marriage while allowing some stranger take over for me. You made it seem to yourself like you needed this person because you were getting your emotional needs fulfilled without having to deal with the complexities of a marriage. That was selfish. That was cheating. You left me to deal with the problems of a marriage without anyone to fulfill my needs. Think about all the exaggerations and white lies you told him to improve his impression of you. You were hiding all your faults and failed to realize he was doing the same thing. This is why it seemed to you like he was so easy to get along with. Because he's hiding his faults. You told him you don't mind fantasy football, and all I get to hear is that it's stupid. I could have fulfilled your needs the whole time. You just chose not to let me because in order to make what you were doing seem harmless, you had to tell yourself I couldn't give you those things. You have given him everything you owed to me. You made yourself think I wasn't giving you what you need, but I was. You just weren't taking it. Everything we tried failed because this lie inside of your head was making you do things that sabotaged each attempt. The more and more this lie sabotaged the attempts, the bigger it grew, and resulted in making you feel closer and closer to your replacement for me. My actions before, and for a period of time after our marriage did in fact introduce this lie to you, but you chose to let it inside of your head. You chose to believe it was the truth, and you chose to abandon me because of it. We're not friends, we're not roommates, we're a lie. I'm not going to continue to support the lie that we're getting a divorce because we are incompatible. I'm not going to continue to let this lie make you do things that disrespect me in my own house and behind my back. I tried to pretend that I could live with this lie for the moment and that it would go away with a divorce. But I realized that a divorce for irreconcilable differences would be a lie I would have to live with for the rest of my life. I want to get a divorce because you are no longer in a relationship with me, and I don't want to be in a marriage with someone who could let this lie so easily become the truth. If you want to continue to replace the fact that you could have gotten what you needed from me instead of someone else, with the lie that I wasn't giving you what you needed. If you want to continue to replace the fact that we were heading towards divorce because you replaced me in our marriage with someone else with the lie that we were heading towards divorce because we don't get along, I respectfully request that you do so away from me. If you choose not to believe that our marriage is ending because you started a relationship with another person and you want to continue a relationship with this person, then you will not be receiving support from the relationship that you left behind. Now her replies and some of mine. I'm a deplorable human being for what I've done. I deserve to live with every ounce of guilt and pain that is the consequence of my disgusting behavior. Suicide would be an easy way out. I don't deserve an easy way out. I deserve to live a long, miserable life alone for what I've done to you. I will never forgive myself for what I've done to you. I don't expect anyone else to forgive me for what I've done to you. All I can do is never allow myself to destroy anyone like I did you. I don't deserve happiness. I deserve the misery and loneliness my stupidity and thoughtlessness has earned me. I've heard these things before, and you still continue doing what you did after you said them. So, don't waste your time telling them to me because I don't get any satisfaction or positive reinforcement from them. I don't blame my depression for anything that I've done. My depression is the result of the horrible decisions I've made in my life. I deserve depression for being such a god-awful, selfish person. Let it be a lifelong punishment for all of my sickening actions and a constant reminder of what I have done. I don't expect you to get any satisfaction out of hearing these things. All I want for you to do is realize I'm to blame 100%. You did absolutely nothing wrong. You're an amazing person inside and out who did nothing to deserve what I put you through. I can only pray to God you are able to quickly overcome the pain I have caused you, forget my worthless existence, and live a long, happy life. Because that's what you deserve, happiness. I don't expect you to forgive me. You've suffered unimaginable and undeserving pain. Never forget it was me who caused all of it. I will get all that I deserve, though you're too good of a person to even want that for me. If it wasn't for you, I never would have realized the kind of person that I am. Because of you, nobody else will ever have to go through what you have because of me. You've woken my brain up and words cannot describe how grateful I am for that. You're the only person who has ever been able to get through to me and show me that I am not the victim. I am, in fact, the perpetrator. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You will get through this and get over this. The least I can do is get the duck out of your life and allow you to heal. I will move out ASAP. I will do my best to stay out of sight in the meantime. With that said, I am parked down the street waiting for you to leave. Let me know when you're gone so I can come home and start moving my stuff. So, she is going to move out willingly and I can either take this as she is doing so to tell me I should move on in order for her to continue with guilt-free, or she really realized what she has done, and she's willing to get out of my life cause that's why she thinks will make me happy. I wish I hadn't sent it in that exact form now because I started to think well she sees my point. But she's leaving willingly cause the email seemed to tell her there was no chance for reconciliation at all, and I realize now I shouldn't have put anything in there that I'd let confuse me later on. For what it's worth, she told me that she isn't planning on going to Vegas anymore because the email made her realize it was a dumb idea. Only time will tell if she really doesn't go. She's moving out today. What kind of rules or boundaries should I set for myself with her? If she ended or ends the emotional affair truly, and acted as if she wanted to reconcile instead of just walking away, I would let her back in. I don't know if she's even considered that an option post-email. Is it up to me to convey that option? I told her I wanted her to move out if she was still in a with him, and I want to get a divorce because she was still in an emotional affair with him. She clarified to me she's moving out and giving me a divorce because I want her to, and that she's doing so willingly because she feels I've earned it after all she put me through. In the meantime, I know it's best to have her follow through with leaving the home, but should I have to say anything to tell her it's not completely over? Or should I just let it happen and see how she acts? I'm trying not to make the mistake of assuming that I know that she'll think it's over if she moves out. I have to stop kidding myself that just because I'm open to an R doesn't mean that I have to offer one. How does this sound for the time being? I want to tell her is that I would like her to leave the house because I need time to think. Either she agrees to go, or she doesn't. I have a basic idea of what I need to do if she does agree. I'm not quite sure what to do if she doesn't. Also, I know my own reasons are for wanting her to leave, but I don't want to tell her any of them. Is it a good idea to provide a simple reason why I'm making my request? If not, what if she asks for one? I will write down somewhere for myself a reminder of what the intentions of my request are and aren't. I feel like this will help stop me from wandering off in thought about the message my request sent and ultimately doubting it. Well, she went to her therapy appointment yesterday after work, and when she came home, I was all set to ask her to leave, and she hit me with a verbal 180. I let her go on for about 30 minutes telling me everything I needed to hear before she asked for an R. She sounded confident and understanding when accepting the blame for what she did instead of depressed and guilty. She had me convinced she got it, until we started talking about plans for the R, and her actions told me she just doesn't get it completely. I fed into it thinking, oh well, one thing at a time. Today, I realized I'm just not getting it. I asked her to write down some thoughts about a couple issues I have before going through with the R, and it hit me. They're just going to be words again that suck me back in. I have a plan for tonight, unless somehow her actions stop me. Is something like, I'm glad you want an R, and your words tell me you'll do all the right things to mend the marriage, but some of your actions right after telling me you won't. I really need some time by myself so I can figure things out, because this won't work if I keep up this pattern. I'm asking you to leave our home for an as yet unknown period of time to allow me to do so. If you can't do this to save our marriage, then I respectfully request that you leave for what you did to our marriage. I also have a problem putting thoughts into words verbally, so I'm going to have to clean it up a little, shorten it, and practice it a few times so I sound as confident as I feel about it. She is aware the nuclear option is on standby. I feel like she gets what she did, and she gets that it was just a fantasy. She logged in and deleted the email she was using to talk to him right in front of me, and she agreed to write ANC. Let me read it, and send it through the mail. She gets that she needs to understand she's human, she made a mistake, and needs to stop self-loathing about it. A month later, final update. She agreed to write and send the NC letter. I gave her a day to do it, but reminded her it was a must and that I would read it before sending it myself. 2 days went by and nothing. I looked at her phone when she went to sleep and saw she had created yet another new Gmail account to use Google Talk, her previous form of communication with OM. I confronted her about it, and the reason she gave me was that she felt guilty that she dragged him along in her emotional affair and was going to tell him about the letter and the reason it was coming. She claimed he was never on when she signed on and that she never actually did tell him about the letter. I don't believe her, but I chalked it up to her still being confused about her actions. I didn't bring up the NC letter again because part of me just said screw it. You need to move on, so why waste your time making her write it? For the next few days after, I just kept to myself around the house, hung out with different friends almost every night, went into work early and stayed later, basically avoiding her as much as possible and giving myself a break. This went on for about a week. I asked myself after why I didn't just kick her out, and I honestly think I just didn't have the energy to right then and there. I wasn't avoiding it because I still wanted to I just needed a break from letting the anger consume me. So, after the week I took to step out of the situation for a break, I got really sick with a cold over a weekend and throughout the better part of a week, and was too miserable then to confront her. She was cooking me meals without me asking, picked up cough drops without me asking. I got sucked right back into thinking there was hope for her. I opened up communication with her again. I thanked her for cooking and getting stuff to help with my cold, but I told her I need a wife, not a nurse. I was still distant for a few days after, caring more about myself, but I decided to still communicate with her. I had setbacks where something would trigger my anger about the situation, but she seemed to roll with it. We went out on a date together, to a bar, for the first time in 2 or 3 weeks this past Friday. And when we came home, we slept together for the first time in a month. I brought up the possibility of an R again 2 days later. Told her she would still have to send the NC letter and all that. She said she's afraid to attempt an R and then make a mistake that would hurt me again, so I left it at that. On a hunch, I checked her phone this past Monday and saw that she never got rid of Google Chat, and how much she was using it. I confronted her and she said she was using it to talk to a friend, another guy, who's been depressed, and admitted she was talking to him about marriage problems. Just how the emotional affair started with other man, and that she also talked to other man once or twice to ask about his mom who's supposedly dying of cancer. That was it for me. I told her I wanted her to leave. She agreed willingly, didn't put up any kind of fight whatsoever. Didn't try justifying what she did, didn't try blaming me, nothing. I do know that she told her parents she moved out because she needed time to think, not because I caught her doing dumb stuff again. I went and had a consultation with a lawyer yesterday, which she doesn't know about. I know what the right decision is that I need to make, but I'm taking a few days to put myself in the right state of mind to go through with it. I do know that she canceled the hotel in Vegas, but the ticket was non-refundable. I asked her today if she was still going, and she said she was considering it because she still has the plane ticket, and she said the other man wouldn't be there cause he's at his sick mom's side. Part of me hopes she goes because I could never believe she wasn't going to meet up with him. I told her to pay this month's mortgage then out of her account because if anyone deserves a vacation it's me, and she paid it. I know what decision the best for me is to do at this point, and that is to get out of the marriage. Whether or not she's being kind and going willingly out of guilt and remorse, she's not the person I once knew or feel I ever truly knew. I'm just looking for advice for avoiding letting the things she's doing out of guilt and remorse make the decision hurt more than it has to. Story 2. Short story. Dated husband for 5 years. We have been married for a year and a half. Shortly after our first anniversary, he started a full-blown affair with a girl that works in his office's gym. She pursued him for a long time and knew he was married. She has a reputation for going after the married ones, since they have already been vetted by their wives. He was a jerk from November to the end of January. To me, his friends, his family, he was totally acting out, and I had never seen this side to him. A friend of mine who is married to my husband's best friend told me that she thinks my husband might be having an affair with someone in the gym. I had asked him several times during his jerk period, but he denied it every time. When I confronted him again, he admitted that he had a very short-lived relationship that ended in January. He said that she quit her job and no longer works in the building due to him breaking it off. We immediately started MC and he went into IC. He seems to be doing all of the right things and seems genuine in truly wanting to be with me. I am grateful that I didn't catch him while the affair was happening, but it is still the most painful thing I have ever been through. The other woman is still trying to get him back. She sends emails proclaiming her undying love for him and asking why he won't talk to her. And then she threatens him. And then she talks about the dirty details. He hasn't been responding to any of it. I have complete access to his email. He changed his phone number and has blocked her on all social media. What I am struggling the most with is trusting him again. I get so obsessive and depressed that I am missing something. When he first confessed, there has been some trickle truth, which I have really struggled with. However, I also didn't realize how much detail I really wanted. Now I am just finding myself completely paralyzed by how sad I am, and I feel so threatened by this OW even though I can see that he is ignoring her. Half the time that's the subject of her emails, but I can't help but just obsess over her and what she is going to say next and what they were like together. I recently started medication to help control the crying and the panic attacks. How long does this last? It's been about 2 months since D-Day and I just feel so consumed with all of this. When will it get easier? I have already exposed him to some of our close friends and our immediate families. His brother is getting married in a few weeks and has kicked him out of the best man position. Everyone has been rallying around me to help, which has been good. He does actually seem to be truly remorseful. When this was first exposed a few months ago, my first instinct was to run, but I wanted to make any large decisions with a clear head, so I agreed to MC, which has really helped us both. In some ways, I feel like I know more about him now than I did before we were married, and a lot of it has been positive. He has also worked hard to be the support I need and is very willing to do whatever I tell him I need from him. I just don't always know what I need or what will make me feel better. I am really sad this happened so early in our marriage, and I am glad that we don't have kids. I don't know how anyone can go through this and manage to take care of children at the same time. I can barely go to work every day. It is really odd, and there are obviously deeper issues going on. I had been with him for several years and he has never ever acted out this way. He was always so excited to be with me and he seemed thrilled to be marrying me. Through MC and his IC we have determined there were several reasons for it. He sorts of freaked out from the permanence of marriage in the first year and was confused whether this was truly what he wanted. Our MC said this was much more common than people realize. It just doesn't usually result in an affair. He said that he realizes now that he had a very immature expectation of marriage and what it was supposed to be like. He also had really unreasonable expectations of me. His family is really messed up. His parents are still together, but they have a really strange relationship that I don't envy in the slightest. He has a helicopter mom who has always been willing to give him anything and everything he ever wanted, and I think deep down he sort of assumed I would be that way. I am a pretty independent person and my marriage isn't my entire life. It is a big part of it, but it doesn't define me. Another reason, and I hate to blame the other woman, but the other woman was deliberately trying to win him our entire first year of marriage. I had even met her at a hockey game and she just was a little too excited to see him. He blew her off and was showing me emails she was sending him that night wanting to meet up with us for drinks. He didn't have her phone number at the time. He said she was really annoying, but I think eventually she wore him down. When this all started, I was having a really difficult time. My parents announced they were getting divorced because my dad was having an affair with a woman only a few years older than me. They were married 28 years. I felt like my world had blown apart. So, in the fall, leading up to all of this, I was really depressed and moody and not much fun to be around. It wasn't my fault he had an affair. But it certainly didn't help that I was having such a hard time and he had this bouncy happy girl who was just obsessed with him and willing to give him all the attention he wanted. He sees how selfish and terrible all of this was. He was never like this before. He has always been really nurturing and ready to help me if something goes wrong. But this was just the perfect storm of problems and opportunities, and he made every wrong decision he could. In January, he said it hit him what he was doing and he started coming out of the fog, realizing that his relationship with her wasn't real. And this was not the person he wanted to be. He started to work on himself, reading books, going to church, doing some soul searching, talking to me more. Between January and March, things were really starting to look up. The D-Day happened and it has just been one day at a time. I just want the pain to stop. This has been a really difficult year for me, and I feel so disillusioned. I know this was a long post. It has been really helpful for me to get it all out there like this though. I don't really feel like I can talk to friends or family about this, because no one understands what it is like. My comment: you guys got any advice for the second OP from a man's perspective? Sub, bell and comment down below how you think, and I am going to prepare some completed stories for you guys tomorrow.